Hello. We're here all of a sudden out of nowhere. And by we, I mean me, clearly, because it was a surprise. So, hello and welcome to Rockin the Love with I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil. And we're excited to be here. I was waiting for the theme music and then I was going to be ready to go.
That's what happens. You've got to always be ready to go. Let that be a lesson to you. So today we are here and we are going to be discussing our theme of the month, which is love amidst the chaos.
Ooh, it sounds so ominous. Is it?
It sounds so normal.
So normal.
Yeah. I mean, what else is there, right?
That's true. That's true. What else is there? I mean, depending on how you define that, the everyday sometimes feels like the chaos, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. Sorry, I got a little stuck on your hair there.
Yeah, I'll lean them back so it's not as bad. Okay. There you go.
Okay, Grizzly Adams. You're very and he emerged from the woods after many years. That's what you look like.
But you have very graciously made me a haircut appointment in New Mexico from Oakland, right?
You know, I let go of some things, but clearly there's some things you haven't picked up on yet. So I'm just trying to be helpful. So yeah. One day, we have one day till we see each other in the flesh.
Yep, one day. Okay, one day.
What are you doing with your hand in the screen? And
I was trying to mute. We got a little background noise happening here. So I was.
All right. Well, so one day until I am in New Mexico, I get on a plane tomorrow and get to see him for real. And then the family comes and it's going to be a great weekend. Very excited. That's right. We're celebrating Gil is being installed. That sounds
installed.
It sounds painful.
Yeah, it's I mean, the last thing I installed was a module in a transmission. So I don't know how this works exactly, but I'm being installed.
Is that when you install the module in the transmission, the hope is and the thought is that it can't get out? Does that mean you can't get out now? You're there forever?
Well, I don't know. We had to take it in, get it programmed. Then it didn't work. Then we had to redo it. So it was a little tricky. Yeah, the idea is that we're all declaring that we're hanging in there together for a while. We're going to work together and make this thing work. So it's all about being at Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living and me being the minister. So there you go.
So it's like marriage.
Kinda.
Wow.
Kinda. I've had several people refer to it as that to me, which is part of why I've had a very freaky week. Because I've been going, oh.
It's a big commitment. And
it's a big commitment.
I hear your live cheerleader there in the background.
Yes.
Talia, you're not allowed to talk unless you're coming on camera. All right. So we are going to talk with John Chastain, who is here, who is no stranger to chaos, and he is the ambassador of love. So I know that we will have a lively discussion. But first, before we do that, here's the good news.
The good news.
Da, 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 da. What do you got?
Well, hey, I found an article about a fashion designer in Uganda. And this fashion designer spent several years in Europe and did fashion design for major places. And then he went back to Uganda. And it turns out Uganda gets about 70% of all the donated clothing from around the world. Uganda and the surrounding African countries. So he is creating from those clothes various designs by sewing things together and doing different things that he's then around and shipping back to Europe to sell.
That's great.
So his intention is to revive the Ugandan textile industry by doing this. And I think the part that struck me, as the good news is just this idea that, we sometimes think that relationships have to be, that whatever their balance is, that's how it is. And here's somebody that's saying, no, it's just because it has that appearance that we're on the bottom of this doesn't mean we can't reverse that or we can't play a different game.
Right.
And I think that's kind of cool.
No, I think that's very cool. And I think it's such an example to other places, other countries, other people to utilize your resources, to not just throw things away and not find a use for them. Well, mine is not, it's similar, but same vein, is that in a company in Los Angeles called Food Forward has been rerouting food since 2009. Since 2009, they've rerouted over 250 million pounds of food from landfills and deliveries and things, and sent fresh produce to food insecure communities.
So they rerouted it from going to the landfill. Yeah. Okay. Right. Cool.
Yeah. And so because Southern California is the largest exporter of produce in the country, it's perfectly placed for that. And they work with over 350 direct partners coordinating food donations, and it's gone out to it's made it out to 12 California counties, 6 other states, and 2 tribal nations.
Very cool.
Yeah. And it says they're operating so tight that every dollar donated allows them to redirect 10 pounds of produce from restaurants, grocery stores, or farms before sending them to communities that rarely got to buy even a tomato or a crisp head of lettuce. So also, besides that, keeping the food out of the landfill also reduces methane gas emissions from its decomposition and reduces our carbon footprint for about 10 years.
My goodness. How do you like that? People that are thinking about a relationship with the earth and with one another all at the same time.
Yep. And the reason I really like that story is because I think so many people, so many of us that are doing the work of, trying to recycle or getting electric cars, or, we know what our carbon footprint is, those kind of things. We in conversations I've had, people also say out of the, in the same breath, but it's not really doing anything, or, we're never going to see it, or there's not enough people doing it. And, maybe, but maybe not. Clearly, what we're doing is making a difference, whether we see it, feel it, know it, or not. For me, it's really a story about staying true to your own convictions and integrities, because if they went, it's only going to 12 counties in California, it really should be more. We just shouldn't do it anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, we can't think like that. We have to truly trust that, not only the work they've done, but just the people that hear that story also move to a different level of knowing and understanding and wanting to do it that way. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that's good news. I think the whole idea is that we find ways to impact others, impact our own life and others, I'm sorry, is whacking out on me. There we go. That we attempt to do that, and in doing that, we have to remember that we don't always see the results.
Right.
You know, we don't always see it, and that's the case in any relationship with ourselves and with others. We don't always see right away the results of some change that we've made or some intentional step that we've made. Sometimes it takes a minute, and sometimes, you know, the fact that it has a small impact is important enough.
And, you know, I would go as far as to say, you know, how a lot of times we say it's not our business, you know, like when I want I want to know what somebody thinks about me, or I don't want to do this because I think they're going to think this. And we say, it's not your business. It's not my business. It's not my business. And it's really not my business. It's not my business. It would be a bonus. It's great when everybody tells me, oh my God, I loved your show and it made me feel this and that and everything. But truly, if I'm good with it and I feel that I'm on purpose, then it's not my business. That's just a bonus and a gift to get to see it and feel it and know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm there with you. So it's none of your business what I think of you. No, wait. Is that what you meant? Oh, wait. It's none of my business what you think of me. There you go. That's what it was.
Well, I know you're being funny, but that's an interesting thing, because is that true in relationship?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at some level, it's true. It's true as it is anywhere.
Well, and at some level it's not, because it's my business if I want the relationship to succeed in some ways, because we made an agreement to a partnership and to a mutual sharing of ideas and information. So there's an agreement in place already that we'll connect like that, you know, which is why I feel it's so easy to just tell you when you're wrong.
Well, thank you. That is great.
No, but you know what I mean? I mean, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. I mean, on some level, maybe it's not our business, but I think it's different in relationship. It's a good topic to talk about.
Yeah, it is, because I'm thinking, you know, for me, it's part of it is getting to the place where I'm not playing to anyone else, that I'm really honestly playing from my best self, and therefore that should cover it. You know what I mean? And so it's an interesting discussion. We'll have to explore that kind of sandy space there.
Yeah,
see what we come up with.
Because let me just say this for the record so that I don't forget, because I truly think, like, when we say relationship, it's about relating. And like that's a really good clarification. If it's not our business, then how do we connect like that? How do we improve? Doesn't mean that you don't act from your best self, right? But I don't know. I just think because a lot of relationships, I mean, I think I especially romantic relationships, well, but family too. We spend all of our life trying to get them to work right, and by understanding each other, you know, so yeah.
Bigger topic. We'll come back to it.
But not now, not after this commercial break, because after this commercial, you will have John Chastain here with us, and we will go on to other topics. But it's a good topic, right? Okay, so
good place to start.
Grab a drink or something and then get right back here on New Thought Media Network.
Get inspiration in an instant. God calls are the gentle and uplifting moment of truth to help you remember that the bright light of God's love is shining right now as you.
It's your God call with Reverend Bill.
Start your 2-week free trial today, and you'll get a phone call 4 times a week from Reverend Bill with an uplifting half-minute message filled with insight, wisdom, story, and fun.
Let your light shine.
You can answer the call to listen to it live or let it go to voicemail so you can hear it later. After the free trial, your subscription is just $5.95 a month. The details are at godcall.org. God calls are disruptive, intentionally.
Whenever you write something, put on a gold star.
They take you away from your routine to remind you about the truth of who you really are. They come at random times between 8:15 a.m. and 6 p.m., so you won't be expecting them. And somehow, the message is exactly what you need to hear at the time.
Magic is loose in the world.
It's a moment of motivation in the middle of your day. Find out more and start your 2-week free trial now at godcall.org.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RSCP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
Hey everyone, we're back. Rockin the Love. I'm Gil.
And I'm Robyn Rice Olmsted.
And we are here today talking about love amidst the chaos. Now, if you were with us last week or you watched last week's show, you know that we talked about this idea and had some interesting thoughts about chaos, etc. And we're going to explore some more today. And we have a special guest to help us do that. Who do we have?
We have John Chastain.
All right.
Welcome, John.
Hey, hi. Thank you.
Good
How you
to
doing,
see
Both
John?
of you. I'm really good. How about
Good.
you?
I'm well. Good to see you. Good to see you. So we invited John on because he's an expert in chaos, right? Was that the reason? Yeah.
You could definitely say that. Mhm.
I thought, actually, I was thinking about it and I thought, where would we start on this topic? And I was thinking that it's John and a group of friends and of ours uh, have a tradition of watching The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. And I thought, well, what a bigger example of love and chaos. So I thought, I was thinking about it. I was thinking, like, how does that fit in there, with spiritual principles? Like when we watch that show and they're crazy, crazy, crazy. And, some of it's Hollywood, but it doesn't matter. It's still God. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. So the little guilty pleasures.
So, John, we I know you and I talked for a minute yesterday about kind of what we were thinking, but you have the not really unique experience, but I'm sure it often feels very unique, of being in a position to be taking care of your parents and with them on a day-to-day basis with a lot of different things that go on and unexpected trips to the emergency room and all kinds of things seem to happen on a fairly regular basis. So let me just share anything, about that general idea and what that's like for you.
Yes. And, me, Gil, and Robyn have been really good friends for quite some time now. And it was interesting because I got the R letter and I thought, well, that's Robyn's letter. And, what I wanted to bring forward was the R's of finding the love or receiving or feeling the love in chaos, in situations such as taking care of your parents when they're very elderly and they have multiple issues. I feel like I can disclose my mom does have dementia, and that makes it very difficult and challenging. And I was thinking about what tools do I use, and I really, and that's interesting, Robyn, that you mentioned Bachelorette, because I'll be watching, and even last night I was saying, well, I have these tools that I use that they don't seem to have. Like, okay, if that moment came at me, that chaotic moment, and it throws me off center, then I'm going to want to reflect. I'm going to want to rejuvenate. All these R's. And so I think R can be a very powerful word today and always for relaxing, restoring, replenishing, reflecting, and to bring that gratitude, which I think is a very, very, very powerful energy to revere. Because when I revere, when I look at a piece of art or I revere a relationship, I'm doing the other things. I'm recharging, I'm replenishing, I'm receiving from spirit. And for me, that's a big one because I'm giving, I'm cooking for them, I'm cleaning their house, I'm doing a variety of things. And so replenishing and reflecting are completing the circle. And when I complete the circle in the chaos, then I feel more grounded. I feel more centered. And I also feel like I'm taking some time to just be in that chaos. Because, like, what I see in that show is that the chaos kind of runs a lot of those people, a lot of the young, bless their hearts. They're learning and living and attempting to love. And I see as an older person, like, oh, let me not look at the chaos and freak out, which sometimes I can and still do. But let me look at the chaos and go, okay, all right. And I thought of another thing was in nature, right now we're experiencing the wildfires, like a lot of the wildfires. And I know as a former, I used to have a landscaping gardening business, that beneath that chaos, and I don't know of a more chaotic event than a forest fire. It just seems to devastate and destroy. But out of that, if you go back even a few months later, there's little teeny seedlings. There are different trees that will not produce unless their seeds are in a fire, and they start growing. And it's all this structured growth and replenishment that spirit creates out of the chaos. So it's a very natural rhythm. And, those were some of my thoughts I had about, that once again, I'm going to the R, to the Robyn, that replenishment, that rejuvenation, that revering. And so I guess this is an R show,
Well,
find the R amidst the chaos.
I want to go back to something you said, because you alluded to the fact that when you're watching Bachelorette, that they and as in they, the younger people, and I think it's interesting because I'll speak for myself, but my experience of a lot of people is, there is a lot of drama when you are a younger person, and the drama tends to shift and change and dissipate, hopefully, as you get older. So, for you to be able to have the skill, and for any of us to be able to have the skill to go, okay, wait, I need to look at what's going on, because drama and chaos, it seems like to me in the chaos, you're kind of in it. You're like spinning, like it's like a hurricane or tornado. Sorry, I'm from California. I don't know what either one of them are like. So it's like when you're spinning and caught up, though, that you can't really get out to go, okay, wait, let me take a look at it in some ways as easy. So I think it's what you're saying is great, and I mean that's why we're here, is to grow and to learn. But what would you guys say? I mean, what do you think about youth and growing and chaos?
Well, I would just comment that I think certainly there's a, probably if you did a survey, there's a scale, and it would tip towards more drama in younger years, I think, and as people get older. However, I don't think necessarily that people ever grow out of it. It's not just a growing up thing. It's an intentional shifting your perspective thing. It's an intentional taking a moment to look and go, is this really what I want? I remember last week we talked about the fact that, sometimes chaos is that thing that sort of pushes us and makes us shift our life or our patterns. And sometimes we keep the chaos going so that we don't have to look at probably those things that we really do need to shift.
Right.
And that can go on, as we all well know, with, I'm sure, people that we know, that it goes on into however old you want to be, and the opportunity to acknowledge and to look at it and go, you know what, where's the love in this? The love is in here somewhere. That happens no matter what age we are, and the opportunity is always there to shift and move in that direction. It's just that I think sometimes we don't realize we even can, or we don't even realize what we're doing. That's my thought.
That reminds me of that show. I don't remember the name, but where you have a lifeline and you can call a friend. It's some
millionaire. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah. And because I definitely will get caught up in the chaos. Oh boy, yeah, that can really happen. And so sometimes I don't even, now I'm going to call it my lifeline, but I have definitely called each of you and said, I'm on this chaotic hamster wheel, and and it's like, you're like, oh, well, have you tried this or this? And I loved when we were watching the radio stuff just now on What You Can See, and it said practical prayer with those fabulous hosts. And I thought, oh, yeah, because lately, in the last couple of years, my prayers need to be very practical. And it also brings up, I just thank Spirit. I thank God for the wonderful classes. I've even taken a class recently with both of you that continue to bring forward the tools. Because when you're in chaos, you need tools. The art tools are real good. Grab the art tools. And so that's my thought on that, is that get with your centers. That's why I watch the show a lot on Wednesdays, is to replenish, is to Robyn's going to be on, Gil's going to be on. We're going to replenish or investigate a new idea. And absolutely, sometimes the chaos, I really believe sometimes the chaos goes, hey, you need to maybe show up in a different way. It will kind of, what did you say, push you? And it can be a time in that reflection I was talking about, is that the chaos I may be bringing is something I need to look at and adopt a different way, or show up differently, or really address the situation. So I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. And that, like the forest fire, it's not always a negative, the little quotes, where are the quotes, a negative situation. Sometimes it clears away all that stuff and brings forth new life.
I think that's really where this idea of love in the midst of the chaos is, that really there's always something beautiful in the process, and unless we keep generating chaos to keep us from seeing that, or we keep calling the chaos horrible, or we keep even calling it chaos, and we realize it's just opportunities, so I think that's the great possibility, is to be able to see that there's something wonderful underneath. And that Robyn and I relate to your living with your parents and taking care of them. We did a stint living with my father and taking care of him, and he was also had Alzheimer's, and it got a little turbulent, and the family went a little sideways, and that all changed. And what we realized was, that change stuff felt really kind of harsh and not very loving and all those things. And yet we realized that we had the best time with my father. We were there when we had the most ability to be with him and do stuff with him and hang out with him and do things and hear him tell stories and stuff. And by the time that shift started to happen, he was not nearly in the same position to be that much fun, And so in the midst of the chaos it really was a loving space for us to let go and let someone else step in and go on.
Yeah. Did you find, when you were caretaking and helping and assisting, that you discovered more love for your dad, or that you had this profound love? Was that?
Yeah, I did. Robyn just loved him immediately. She didn't have to discover anything. But
she's advanced. We just know.
That's right.
But absolutely. There was so much, I think, love and healing that went on that wasn't necessarily spoken, but was felt. And having aging parents and being in that position or maybe not even aging. I mean, ailing, maybe just being around your parents that much at that age. They have a whole different level of freedom, as do we, but a whole different level of letting go their guard and talking about things that they couldn't have talked about 30 years ago or whatever.
Yeah. And sharing them from a place of just love and honesty, and in support, and in also just being transparent.
And it it feels like I know it. I know it's a sense of much stronger connection with spirit, because caretaking, and especially when there's a big chaos, like mom has fallen, we've had the paramedics here, and I've just had to really let go and let God, because it has literally brought me to my knees. And so that has made my connection with spirit very real. And it's made my connection with spiritual friends, spiritual community more vibrant, but also more necessary. And I thank God that I was smart enough to get involved with the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, to have wonderful ministry friends like you, Gil, and beautiful practitioner friends like you, Robyn, and this show. I mean, I can't say enough about this show. And just that I have the smarts to go, okay, because I like to watch zombie movies and horror movies, but those don't help me at all in a crisis and in chaos. And so I take the time. I also do daily readings of various sorts. I love a good science of mind, but I love Buddhism, and I love Episcopalian Christianity, which is very inclusive of GLBTQ people, I might add. And, even just kind, loving people that I meet in the supermarket or wherever, because it's that circle of giving and receiving. And no, I'm not. I'm receiving nothing for my endorsement. It's a beautiful show, but that circle. And I guess I'm going to ask you to, in the chaos, my brother's like a mathematician. And when we were little, he taught himself calculus at the age of 6. He's a genius. But he was always looking at the universe. And I'm 5. I'm a year behind him. So he's 7, and he's like, can you see the mathematical beauty of the universe? I'm like, what there? And so we're talking about chaos, but I want to ask you to, can we see patterns? Can we see mathematical patterns? Can we see, I don't know. I don't know if I'm being a total nerd or making sense, but
No, I think that's a really great point. I think that's kind of the idea of the love in the chaos. There's an appearance of chaos, but is that what it is? Right?
mm-hmm.
I mean, to us or to me, that's what it may look like, but to someone like your brother who's got a trained eye, he goes, well, that's not chaotic. Look at this. Look at this. Right? And I think his mathematical perspective is one way of finding that, and I think the spiritual perspective is another way of finding that and beginning to understand it. And then we see where the science and the spirituality come together, because they're both explaining the same things.
Oh, and science of mind, science. And could we extend that? Can't we extend that and say, what about the science of love? That and I'm not sure that would be a whole show, but maybe that's a science that is just God science, and that brings that love to us. And because I feel like sometimes when I'm letting go and it's just too much and I'm surrendering, that there's this grace that comes at me, and it's not because of anything I've done. It's just I'm going to receive this spiritual gift from spirit. And that's the way I feel when I walk in and a Sunday service is really going well, or when I went to OCSL recently and they had a beautiful picnic. Robyn was there, and the love was firing on all cylinders. And once again, life can be chaotic at any point during my day at home. And I was like, oh, and I just felt it. I remember, Robyn, that was a beautiful day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm unable to comment or send a banner, but I have a quote here that I was looking at that says, chaos is what we've lost touch with. This is why it is given a bad name. It is feared by the dominant archetype of our world, which is ego, which clenches because its existence is defined in terms of control. And that's by Terence McKenna.
That's deep.
Right.
That is deep.
Can you that last part about control? Can you
Find? It says, it's one sentence, so I'm going to read.
Oh.
No, here it is. It is feared by the dominant archetype of our world, which is ego, which clenches because its existence is defined in terms of control.
And so letting go, I love that, because that's kind of let go. And I believe that is a 12-step thing, let go and let God. That's one of the steps, I think. And I love it.
I believe it's a Frozen thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let it go. Just let it go.
Let it go. And that, laughing about it and sharing that humor with you, do that. In the chaos, find the laughter. And if something's funny, go with it. My mom is in and out. Sometimes she asks me who I am, and I just kind of roll with it. So she'll say, "Who are you?" And I'll say, "Well, I'm the maid." And she's like, "No," and we'll just laugh, because on some level, she knows who I am, and sometimes she's just like, "I don't know who you are, but you're funny," and I refuse to let it take away that edge, because I'll laugh at anything. Yeah. And you two are great for laughing. It's like, oh yeah, that was pretty hilarious. Yeah. So, and Gil, I love when you just like make one of your dry comments. I'm like, oh my. Yeah.
Well,
hey, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it made me think of a story, and I think we have to laugh at ourselves, and we have to go with it. I I took my car in at some point and had them, I wanted like the oil change. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I got it back, and of course, I know what it was. It was the oil change, and I took it to a tire place where they were doing oil changes. And of course, they told me that my rear tire needed to be replaced, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, thanks. I'll get to that." And so the next day or a couple of days later, we took a little road trip, and I don't remember who was with us, Robyn, but on the way back in Vallejo by the Six Flags, which is if you're from the area, it's a little. There's just not much there. We had a blowout. I had to change my tire on the freeway.
I remember that.
And the funny thing is, at some level, I had all the information I needed. I could have probably avoided that, but I didn't. And then I could have been really mad at myself that I didn't. But okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
And you guys got through it.
I have two more quotes, and I need to read. I have more than that, but I want to read what I think applies to that one. Is it says it turns out that an eerie type of chaos can lurk just behind a facade of order, and yet deep inside the chaos lurks an even eerier type of order.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that sounds like my brother.
Spiral.
Fractal.
Well, and also, just using your example, I know there's all kinds of things that may have stopped you, but what really stopped you from going, great, put a tire on it, or great, taking it to Costco and getting a tire, or whatever it is you needed to do to make sure the tire got on it, but it didn't. And so in some ways it created, not that it was chaos, but it created a moment where, okay, look at us on the freeway at 10 o'clock at night, you know. You know, it was all smooth and easy and all those things, but there's something, you know, what was the choice, you know, that was made, and why? Because it had the potential to lead you to chaos.
Right. And what was, you know, like you said, what's the deeper organization in the chaos?
Yeah.
You know, what was the point of that? I don't know. You know, it's just interesting.
Makes me
Because
think
love
of
is
it has the appearance of. I loved learning that in Science of Mind. Well, it appears as if, because then that for me personally is that wiggle room I need. It's like, okay, it might look like this, however, you know, and that's where I can kind of let go and receive my personal power and not be this is foundation stuff. I love it. And not be a victim. And I loved receiving that teaching. I just, I get goosebumps because it's like, okay, all right, here's my situation. And how am I going to react and be like, or am I going to respond? And I just, juicy stuff.
It is juicy stuff. And I'm sorry, I'm stuck on quotes, but I think this one really applies to the two of you, knowing you the way I know you. And I think so many people, this is a quote by Ray Bradbury. And he says, every morning I jump out of bed and step on a landmine. The landmine is me. After the explosion, I spend the rest of the day putting the pieces together. Right? I mean, that speaks to all of us, right? I mean, because at the end of the day, there's only us there, right?
Yep. And then all the pieces are just the ones that I have created, and they're all parts of me I need to put back together.
Right.
I think that's the crazy part.
Do they still do prayer partners? It's been a while since I've been in a class where you have a prayer partner.
Prayer partners are always an option for everybody. You just got to find somebody who wants to pray with you.
Because right. And that was a big crack in the nut for me, because I remember calling every morning and it was about the prayer. You weren't supposed to gossip, or you could do that later if you made friends with that person, but it just cracked open that here my stuff is that I've kind of somewhat talked with friends and stuff, but when I had prayer every day for the length of the class, I could let my hair down, I could be vulnerable, and I could sit in that grace with that person during that prayer. And then vice versa. And it grew me so much. I swear I'm not plugging the classes, but go to the classes, get a prayer partner, watch these other great programs on here. Because it's a lifesaver. Yeah.
Many organizations, CSL and others, have, prayer match programs and things like that. I think, I think it's a great thing.
Or places you can call for a prayer, or people you can see for a prayer. If you don't want to, you're not looking for a ongoing thing in the moment, but you just would like to pray with somebody now. There's these things are out there. People want, and the point of that, I think, goes back to your R's, and that's rejuvenating and revitalizing your spiritual connection, right? And that's the idea of affirmative prayer anyway, is that we're affirming what's already true. We're not trying to get God to change.
Right.
Right. If God wants to be in the sky with a white robe, that's God's choice. What can we say?
Mine might be in drag, but
but what we're doing is realizing that spirit is everywhere present, and I'm reconnecting with it. I'm reminding, or having someone help me remind myself that I am that. I am connected already. And so that's the piece of the whole topic today, is that underneath all of the stuff is always that relationship with ourself, that relationship with spirit. And that's where the love is.
And that brings me to one, really, maybe my last point is just the self. This is a OCSL thing with a capital S. And I learned, I'm kind of running around out here before the classes and everything with my little self. And then I learned that there's a big self. And to me, that big self, since we're all one, includes your spiritual community, includes your center, includes your fabulous minister, Gil, includes your fabulous practitioner body, Robyn, and that's always there amidst the chaos. And it's a phone call away. It's a Zoom Sunday service. It's going to see a practitioner. You can always go to see a practitioner or have a session on the phone. It's those fabulous tools for rejuvenating and everything are always there. I love it. Ooh.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is so important. It's the resources are always out there. And I think that's why our topic and all the talk we've talked about chaos, I think that's why redefining chaos in some ways is so important, because we tend to get stuck on language and, this is bad, this is good, and really, chaos is really just a motivator, instigator, that maybe it's the 2x4, when you're not listening to the signs, I think we all use it use it or relate to it in our own way. But what's important is what you do with it, and how you take it out. So rejuvenating yourself and all your R's, it's like really breaking those down and finding out what that means to you. Because, rejuvenating, really going beyond, because I think sometimes too, there's a difference between doing something to take your mind off of something and then doing something that really feeds you. Like I can clean my room, and that may feed me at some point, but it may not be really what is feeding me in the moment, even though it's creating order. And I think it's like the next step to really take care of yourself in a way that you would, take care of your beloved or whatever, that you would go beyond, and you're good at that, John, because as I said, you are an ambassador to love, and you are always doing loving things for people.
Thank you.
I just think it's about really diving deeper.
Well,
and go ahead.
Oh, you just hit on something about, reframe, looking at the chaos, and maybe the chaos is the 2x4 we need. And what struck me was, and there, my friend, is the order in the chaos. Right. Oh, wow.
And could we say the spiritual order?
Probably.
You said it.
You just did.
So I'm going to leave you with one more quote. Our time is up, and it's been great to have you here, John. And
my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Always an honor and a privilege to be with you. So this says,
likewise.
Real love is always chaotic. You lose control. You lose perspective. You lose the ability to protect yourself. The greater the love, the greater the chaos. It's a given, and that's the secret.
Wow. Ponder that.
That's
Ponder
rejuvenating.
that, my people. And we will be back with you next week to continue in the ponderment. Right?
Yep, we will be. We'll be back with, I think we're continuing this theme for the month of love amidst the chaos and just approaching it a little differently. So we will be back next week on Rockin the Love, having fun, and we hope everybody joins us.
And we'll be broadcasting together live from New Mexico. It's right. Yay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, please, please, please comment, send us notes. Let us know what you want to see, what you want to hear, and what you want us to take out into the world. John,
Donate a little. Donate a little.
John says,
or a lot.
Or a lot. I'm down with that. All right. You know how to do it. Go to New Thought Media Network, and we'll see you next week.